It's getting close. Oh, it is. With it being 9:30, I'd like to open this meeting of the Morgan County Commissioners for January 4th, 2021. If you'd all stand for pledge of allegiance and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for the whole creation. We want to thank you for the answered prayers, Lord. I want to thank you for your most precious gift in your Son, Jesus Christ, and that terrible price that he paid for all of our sins. We ask for your wisdom and knowledge to be poured out on the board today, and we ask that we do everything that's satisfying not only to the taxpayers, but also to you, Lord. We ask that you please be with all of our first responders, all of them on the front lines in the hospital as well, Lord. Give them that protection that only you can do. We ask that you please be with all those that's suffering from that, the coronavirus, Lord, but also with any other ailments. We bring it all to your feet and we leave it at your feet, Jesus. Amen. First order of business is going to be reorganization of the board, and I'd entertain a motion on the chair position to start with.
I'll make a motion that I nominate Don Adams to be the chair.
I'd go ahead and second that motion, if Mr. Adams would accept.
I will accept with the condition that it's just a year job and we'll kind of rotate this come next January.
Ask for nominations to be closed. Motion, Mr. Collier.
I move to close nominations.
I'll second that. All those in favor of the nomination, Don Adams for chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Vice chair, open it up for nominees.
I make a motion that Kenny Hale be the vice chair.
I'll second the motion.
A motion to go ahead and close the nominees.
So moved.
I'll second that. All those in favor of the vice chair being Kenny Hale, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Adams, it's all yours, sir.
Well, first of all, I better pull it around so people can hear I'm saying something. Or sometimes I wish they didn't hear I was saying something. But I sure appreciate the work that you've done. And it's fun to be on a new board, but it's fun to have some people who've been there before. I'm looking forward to a good 2021. Our agenda is not tremendously long today, and we'll try to work our way through it for the benefit of those people in the audience and the safety of us all. First of all, you've received a list of claims. What is the feeling of the board? Comments? Questions?
I know you gentlemen wasn't here when these were done, but I'd go ahead and make a motion that you're ready for one chair.
We have a motion to accept the claims. Are there any holds on that? No. There's no holds on it, so we'll just, your motion is to accept those claims. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comment on the motion?
Dan and Jim, I don't know if we need the amounts read off on the 4 items there. Is that necessary, Dan? No, we usually do.
It's what's been practiced. Don't know that it's necessary, but.
Well, go ahead and list those, and then we'll decide whether we want to continue with that.
Go ahead and list total payroll for the week 12/11 through 12/23, $634,528.53 on the payroll. The FICA was $56,877.99, and that was per, correct me. The FICA was $45,869.46. Total claims payable on claims is $1,835,386.14.
Those are included in the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Passes 3-0. The agenda is a list of appointments. The commissioners have about 20. If you have that paper handy, I'll kind of go through it. Would there be an objection that we list all the appointments and then take them at once? That way we don't do it, it'll save a little time, and
Yep,
if we
that
have
makes
a
sense.
omission there, we can take care of it later. Okay, in the Morgan County Planning Commission, I have Melanie DePoy and Bill Rumbaugh, with Commissioner Hale serving there as well. In the Board of Zoning Appeals, I have John Chaplow. In the Board of Health, we have Bud Swisher, Charles Bud Swisher, who's also been recommended by the Board of Health themselves, but it's our appointment. But I've contacted Bud. In the Morgan County Library, I think we're still kind of missing somebody. And if anybody in the county here would like to have an opportunity to serve on the Morgan County Library Board, Judy Rumbaugh is kind of term limited, and we don't have anybody. And if you or yourself or somebody that you know might be willing to have them contact one of the commissioners here, please. In the Veteran Service, Rick's already been appointed, correct?
All of them's been done. You're down to the Harrison Township Fire Board, Fire District.
We have the community corrections. The Harrison Township, yes. We had a resignation there, and a gentleman named Paul Looney, N-E-Y, has been offered, and I've discussed it with him. Second page, community corrections. We have an appointment from the council member, but appointed by the commissioners, and that would be Vicki Kivett. We have Eric Lashbrook to be reappointed. We have, I believe Carol Kinder is going to replace me because I can't be there due to the fact Kenny's already there. So Carol's going to step in, and she ran that operation for 25 years or more. She's excellent. Anita Chaparro. In the local alcohol beverage board, Howard McCormick.
Yes.
In the Morgantown buffer zone, Mr. Stockton, or are we waiting to hear?
Yeah, we're still working on that one.
Working on that one, so we don't have an appointment there. We will get one in the next meeting or so. In the Mooresville buffer zone, Jeff Dieterline. In the Monroe Township Fire Department, Mike Wagner is, and he's the chairman of that, and Tim Smith. In the Morgan County Solid Waste is all, we'll be reappointed as commissioners as a normal practice. In the Morgan County Regional Sewer, the appointment, I've got my name scribbled out. Is there, I think we're going to put Ryan Goodwin there. Is that correct?
On Regional Sewer, yes.
Yes, or keep Ryan there. So Ryan Goodwin in the Morgan County, he's been working with that, and it's a very important activity going up there. Also on the, well, no, those are appointed by the townships. And I assume that they will be reappointed by, or their appointments will be noted, we'll get letters on that one. On the Tax Board of Appeals, Linda Bryant and Jan Stroud. Page 3. Data Board, we have Norman in there, but I don't, Brian, are you the person for that, sir?
Yes.
Brian Collier, Commissioner Collier, on the Data Board. In the Monrovia Plan Commission Buffer Zone, Mr. Brock Sears will be reappointed. He likes the job very much. In the Martinsville Planning Commission Buffer Zone, Gary Carroll. In the Economic Development Corporation Board, Mr. Terry Brock, our county surveyor, and Kenny Hale is our commissioner appointee. In the insurance group, Brian will replace Norman, and I will replace Ryan on the insurance board, correct? In the redevelopment commission, Mr. Ralph Foley, former Representative Ralph Foley, is our commissioner appointment. Now, this is where my notes are a little messed up as far as what I was thinking or we were up to, but is Troy Sprinkle going to retain, he stays on that board, correct?
He was hoping that the council, since he is a new councilman, that he would retain that position, yes.
Okay. And I will replace Norman on that board. And Dr. Jake Allen, Assistant Superintendent of Mooresville Schools, will be the non-voting member from the Mooresville Schools.
You'd still have in Troy's
Did I miss somebody?
spot, it would be Daniel Elliott.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, in Troy's spot there, yes, sir, in the redevelopment is former Councilman Daniel Elliott. I'll give you the notes on this in a minute, make sure we got it right. On the Convention, Visitors, and Tourism Commission, Mr. Bob Nelson and Ann Langford. South Central Community Action Program, it's a commissioner appointment, and I don't know if we ever resolved that. We have an organization that said Life Designs, and I don't even know who that is. Let's postpone it till I find out what that is and contact them. The South Central Community Action Program, we'll leave that blank for our appointment till the next meeting. And I do believe that covers all the bases. Do you gentlemen have any questions or corrections? Do I have a motion?
Brian Collier makes a motion to approve the appointment record as presented today.
Kenny Hill seconds.
There's a motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposed. And that motion passes. Do you need some help on what we put together? You good? Okay. Next item on the agenda is, it says a discussion, and that's what it is. There will be no action taken. This is more of an information for both the minutes and the county. We're looking at, and whether we'll accept or go with it, we're not sure. We're looking at an item called the culture audit. I participated in a culture audit years ago when they called it a climate audit, but they've changed the term to culture audit. Very, very simply, fellow citizens, it's a study where we find out where we are, and we can plan effectively where we'd like to be. I've contacted other commissioners around the state and have received positive reports back. They can be done internally or with us, or they can be done contractually. The basic purpose is to consider the employee safety, the efficiency of our operations, our opportunities, and the possibilities in order to accomplish the best service to the citizens and the resources we have with our employees. This might take a little while. I don't know how long it'll, but we're just opening phase of it. We want to introduce it as something that's ongoing, and we have to make a decision on how to proceed, but we just want you folks to know what's on the table. So, are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience?
My only comment's gonna be that I just wanna make sure that we're all on the same team, we're all moving the same direction, make sure that the department heads know what our expectations are, make sure if they have any questions that we're able to answer them, and make sure that we listen to what their expectations of the commissioners are. So that's one thing, and it's a little different, the cultural audit, I feel like, but that's what I'm wanting to make sure that we are getting across to all of them. So.
I think, if I can add a comment to what Kenny said, one of the form of planning, because COVID, as I've said, is sort of an earthquake, and we're yet to experience a tsunami in the way of, and I know the clerk of the county council is very aware of this. I see Mrs. Akala back there, and she's aware of it. I think Mr. Maxwell, I took my glasses off, but I appreciate the council showing up at our meeting. But we're going to have to be looking at efficiency. How do we accomplish as much as we can with likely fiscal stresses, let's say. So this is a step in that direction. How can we be efficient, and how can we make the working conditions for, how many employees do we have, Dan? Right around 400. Around the 400 employees of our county, make sure they're safe, make sure they're knowledgeable about what they can do to make this a good serving county. So that's the culture audit. If you have questions about it, please contact us, and we'll give you more information. Actually, we're all going to be meeting this afternoon with for a half an hour from a company that conducts these all over the United States. Whether we want to go with a contract, and depends on the cost. There's some advantages of having it done out of house, and there's some advantages of having it done in-house. So you need to get a cow moo, and that's the only thing I pay attention to. So I can give you that if you want it. Actually, I don't think you want it. So any more questions about the climate audit? We'll be giving you updates as we go through and find out more ourselves about how it's been. It's never been done in the county. I think the commissioners I've talked to do it about once every 2 years. They don't do it every year. Once every 2 or 3 years, especially to catch trends and things like that they can see progress or lack of. Item following the discussion on the culture audit is condemnation complaints. Is Laura here? Is that who's going to bring those to the floor?
I think I can speak to those. There were 4 acquisitions regarding some bridge work to Bridge 75. 2 of those property owners signed off on the offers that were presented to them. 2.
Oh, condemnation. I thought it was something different than what I saw.
It's okay.
Forgive me.
I intended to have those ready for your review today, but I don't. They'll be on the agenda next time. They're pretty routine complaints, but I want to circle back with Beam Longston F, and but they'll be ready to go for Bridge 75.
When I saw the word complaints, I had a whole different ballgame in hand, so hope you understand that in my novice position here. Jim, you're also up there for contracts. Is that what you're talking about with the condemnation thing? Is that two items, or do we have something else?
No, I'm not sure if that was included unintentionally from some emails with Josh, Deb, and I. I do have a contract that I had looked at regarding the health department, and but I think that's something that maybe was included in error we can address next time unless there's something. No.
Well, if it needs to be on the agenda next time, there's no action taken at this meeting, correct?
No.
Any other new business that's not on the agenda?
The only other thing that I just want to make sure that we did, I didn't hear you name off Jim Wisco on the county attorney's.
I think he was listed as at the last meeting, but I'm not sure.
No, he was not.
Okay,
I
well,
want to make sure that we take care of that, and we have an attorney legally, so.
I apologize, Jim. You didn't do this at the last meeting? I thought you went through all those.
We did 9 only. Yep.
All right, well, we'll make him I'll take a motion on Jim Wisco.
We'll go ahead and appoint Jim Wisco as our county attorney for 2021.
For catching that. We have a second?
I did ask for a Christmas gift at the last meeting that he wasn't appointed, and I don't think I got one, so let me think about that second. I'll go ahead and second. I'll get this year off to a good start. I'll second.
There's been a motion made and a second to retain Counselor Jim Wisco as our attorney. Any comments further? I'll ask for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And same sign. Vote passes 3-0. And Jim, welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to get a name plaque so we know who we are. I mean, well, we sort of know who we are, but some people out there might just waltz in and not know, so we want to make sure they don't mistake you for Brian.
Sometimes that can be good that people don't know who I am.
Especially with our masks, we don't know who we are. We hold people up. Old business. We have a MOU discussion, it says. I think we did get, is that the?
That's with Johnson County, and that's similarly, I think needs to be tabled, and hopefully we can finalize next meeting. I'm in communication with Johnson County's attorney, and the holidays complicated that, but
We've got something that you're going to work it over a little bit before we hear it. Is that the?
Pretty much.
I'm hearing, okay, thank you. I saw that, I thought we got it, and the date it was past the date that someone was already, I was like, we already.
And does this have to
That
do
date's
with
gone.
locution and?
Come and gone, okay. Moving to the next event, events variance on off-road racing ordinance. Any discussion on that?
entertain if there's any thoughts from the commissioners as to what I may include in a draft. I have a very short outline to include as kind of for discussion for the next meeting, but certainly this is going to accept the mass gathering amendments we made earlier this year and kind of carve out a separate set of rules for people who hold these sort of events on their property. Something that was raised recently that I know comes up at least a handful of
What
times
are some of
a
the
year.
concerns that people have besides noise and traffic?
I think that, I mean, and I don't know, certainly there are some who may speak specifically to those concerns, but it would seem that depending on the size of crowd, the noise, the traffic, the access for first responders, those sort of things that are covered in large part by that mass gathering ordinance we did recently, but I think that there's a thought anyway to perhaps treat these differently. And I know that certainly I think certainly it seems important to those who are neighbors to at least 2 or 3 different properties in the county that I think have had them annually at least the last few years.
Big thing is notification. They don't receive notification, and That is the process that they would like to see, so.
Okay. It's, so that ordinance dealing with that will be forthcoming. We're not putting a time on it.
That's correct. I mean, I plan to have kind of a shell or some outline thoughts or a shell of an ordinance for you all to consider at the next meeting. If there's any input between now and then about what you'd like to see in it specifically, I'd be happy to hear that.
Is the off-road ordinance specifically stated because this is the type of event that has created some backlash? I mean, is that why we're specifically, because at these, if I had 50 acres, I could have another Woodstock because it's not an off-road event. And if you were to have another Woodstock type of setting, you would have the same people, EMS. So why is this coming out? Just because this is the one event that we're having?
A little background for the new commissioners. This was something that Commissioner Voiles brought forward. We updated our mass gathering ordinance to be in line with the state code. There have been these off-road vehicle events that are causing some consternation with some of the constituents. And so Mr. Voiles proposed that we would look at an ordinance to deal directly with these events. There was a couple things passed around, one of which would be to deal with them in our new planning and zoning ordinance, which will be worked on this year, but that will not be ready, for quite some time. And so he proposed that there would be a ordinance to bridge the gap until we would potentially deal with it in another way. But he didn't want to take action on it last year, knowing the three of you were going to be here today. And so it's really a twofold discussion. How do we want to handle them, or do we want to handle them at all? And you may decide you don't. And so that'll be up to the prerogative of the board. But that's why we were just going to start with an outline. So you see the framework before we put in a lot of work to beefing up an ordinance if you're not inclined to do so.
Does the board, would the board like to proceed with what Jim is discussing so we can see what the outline would be and what what Josh has mentioned?
Yeah, that's the wishes.
Affirm that. You guys start doing some affirming down there, bud.
Herman? Instead of swearing?
Instead of swearing. All right, thank you, Josh.
I would
And,
just think that the ordinance would be written in such a manner, though, it wouldn't single out a event. It would be inclusive to all events that would meet a certain set of criteria, whether that be noise, number of people attending, number of acres required for number of people, something along those lines.
Correct. I see. Yeah, we want to.
Just say off-road, it looks like we're targeting one type of an event, and
might wanna have a
that could
polo game or
create
a rodeo.
backlash just because that's,
Yeah, there's other events that are nuisance events that should be some form of notification, orders, or not have.
correct.
Okay. Thank you. So you have kind of a direction of where we're going, and we'll continue with those discussions. Thank you very much. There's no further old business that I see. Do you have anything, Kenny?
One thing,
All right.
forgive me, but Deb, did we go ahead and approve the drainage board schedule of meetings? We haven't. We didn't last year before the first of the year, did we? Oh, we did, okay. The only other thing, Mr. Adams, would be the January 19th meeting. I thought we was gonna try to move that to the 20th, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, I think we discussed that. Do we need we should take that in the motion, because I don't think we've officially approved it.
So moved.
All in favor of that? Aye.
Aye.
Notification, Josh, is till the 20th. That will be our next meeting, actually, so. Any other old business? Do we have any form of a COVID update? Is there anything cooking that we need to hear right now? I know this. Steve, mind giving us a quick, I appreciate that. Would appreciate that.
Well, this week, we're putting everything together to get the pod operational to start the 12th of next week. We've got a lot of working pieces. moving back and forth with that. The state seems to be adding more and more complications to that as we go along. We were notified last week that we'd be getting 100 to 200 vaccines for the week. In our plans, we can do that in probably a day and a half. So I'm not real certain how that's going to pan out and how we're going to work. These are not going to be walk-in clinics. They're going to be by appointment. This raises a whole bunch of questions for me that when we get to this is a 4-week interval shot, 2 shots 4 weeks apart, are we still going to get 100, 200 vaccines 4 weeks from now? So are we going to revaccinate and not vaccinate new people? I simply have more questions than I have answers to. We still have no answers on how we're going to vaccinate the inmates in the jail and our first responders. Even though we're getting these vaccines, the state's dictating as to whom will be receiving those vaccines. Again, it's crickets. We have no information. Have a phone call today at 12 o'clock in which some of these things may or may not be discussed.
Who you communicate, I'm sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
Who do you communicate with at the state?
Well, that's a good question too, sir.
I'm sorry.
It seems to be a collective of about 10 people.
Oh, geez.
Because everyone talks about their part of it, and they don't seem to be anybody, coordinating activities between the different silos. So the phone call today would be with the people from the infectious disease folks, and then tomorrow we'll talk about schools, and on Friday we talk about schools and anything else. So these are 3 phone calls we do a week, Zoom meetings or team meetings, whatever you want to call them. They're very one-sided. They talk, we listen. We have a question, we get to type it into a chat box, and at a certain time, they cut it off whether you got an answer or not. So it's just a moving target all the way along. The people we're working with have been great here locally. You've all been very supportive to this point, and I'm very, very appreciative. I'm not going to say this is going to go smoothly, but we'll get the job done. As we go along, it's going to be a growing thing, and we'll get our acts together someday. But I think we're in a good shape to start. We're going to be onboarding some people this week to hire internally. We still have our contract people. I have not heard from them. I'm very uncomfortable with that. So that's some of the things I have to get on the next day or two to find out where we're at with that. So this time next week, I probably have more answers. You can call me anytime you want with any questions, anytime up until 10 o'clock at night, and after that, I'm not very pleasant. So, any questions?
One question, would our participation, or at least one of our participations in any of those Zoom meetings be helpful or not?
No, sir. It would not. The state is a creature on its own, and they dictate, we follow.
Yeah, well, good luck. And appreciate your work very much, and thank you for the update, and we can see it's not as smooth a road coming up as we would appreciate, but maybe things will kind of start to come together.
Locally, we got a great group of guys. Donnie's been very supportive.
Oh,
Mark's
yeah.
been very supportive. Everybody, whatever we need, we'll get together. It's nobody standing on their own. It's a team doing this, so we'll be fine. It's just not the way I prefer it to go.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Thanks, Steve.
You mentioned 2 things there that I would like to, I don't see it on the agenda, but in the old days, as what I used to be, we had, and Davis sent them out, Major Rogers. Did you want to bring anything to the floor on those, Dave?
That's sent out electronically for now, so you should receive it on your email. It has a list of everything. Just the same time, the last administration just sent it out electronically. If you had any questions, we go over them, but,
Well, I'll make a very brief, I appreciate getting that information, and I'll make a brief comment that the last time I really paid any attention to that, and I'm sorry to say this, but was probably about 4 years ago, and when I was up here on this table, and it looks to me like the number of our guests out there has kind of decreased significantly since 4 years ago. I think we're down to, what, 236 or something like that in the jail? And it used to be running around 300, which is, I'm not sure, is the quality of the, I don't know what's causing it, but at least we're not having to spend as much money on food. Let's start with that. But I appreciate the fact that the safety that you have been able to maintain at the jail, for especially during this very extraordinary time, has been extraordinary itself. So thank you, Major, for the good work in the jail. It's exemplary, and we certainly appreciate it for not just the appearance from the county, but the families that have folks out there and are, I'm sure, very concerned as well. So thank you. Any other comments? I'm going to start something just sort of because I can do it. But one of the things I'd like to end the meeting with, we used to have a gentleman named Jerry McGrath, and I don't know where he is now. Is he still with us? I'm going to start inviting him because when he and other people, I'll call it the moment for the good of the county. It's not a gripe session. It's for what you've seen going on that you like to see continue. You can always come gripe by the phone. And if you want to make it here in the public meeting, that's fine too. But I think we need to hear the positive things that are going on, things that you'd like to see continue, things that. So I don't want to let that go forever. I'm not going to open up I don't know how you'd say this. I just want to have people have an opportunity to say anything good about, for the good of the county. We used to have I was in an organization and we ended it with that kind of a remark, and it was kind of, you felt like you came for a purpose and you heard it. So if anybody has at this point and you didn't know it was going to happen.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one point of other business before we conclude.
Sure.
As many of you know, and I look out across here, most of you are very familiar with county government, but being a county representative that lives in the city, many of our voters and taxpayers get confused to what boards I actually sit on. So when I got elected, I quickly got a bumper sticker, and it says, "Fix the streets." County fixes roads, so I think this is more directed towards the city. And I do see the mayor here, and I do want people to know that this weekend, with the shutting down of 37, which will soon be 69, traffic definitely increased in flow. Even Sunday, it was crazy on Morgan Street. And I want them to know, as a city/county employee and an elected official, I am working with the city. We are looking at some of our access roads down here in the southern end of the county and possibly expanding some of those and maybe even forming some new ones. So I do want the public to know that the city and the county are working together to try to make this transition as smooth as possible, but there will be bumps in the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I second the endeavor to put cooperation between towns and counties. And they're all a part of us, but the significant, I don't figure out the percentage. I expect about 4 out of every 7 of our citizens are residents of communities, and the rest of us are out in the country. And but the cooperation between the towns and the county is of high most importance. Do we have any business or for the good of the county from, I see the sheriff's coming to get me. By the way, the sheriff is doing a super fantastic job, and we've had some really challenging issues, but appreciate all.
For everybody, hasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you for having me. I wanted to end it on a positive note. You wanted some positive things, so I think we got some real good positive news. And I think I emailed you all with the story, but to let the rest of the group here know, and Morgan County, We had some real good news come to a couple of our deputies here recently out of a tragic event that occurred here in Morgan County. September 2019, we had a tragic event here in Morgan County where 9 people went into the water in White River, and a vessel capsized and 9 people went in. The call came out to the Morgan County Dispatch because of a language barrier and cell service down there was very limited information. Deputy Caleb Merriman and Deputy Ryan Thompson responded to the area and started searching the area, trying to find and locate the people that had went into the water. They went up and down the bank on foot, looking. Again, darkness. This is in the dark time of night, September, so the water's going to be cold. They came upon some people, and again, because of the language barrier, we're not able to gain a lot of information, but ultimately, we're able to find 4 people that were trapped out on a log in White River. They shed their duty gear, went in uniform, and successfully rescued those 4 people from that log stuck out there on White River. And were able to get a capsized boat that they checked to make sure that nobody else was stuck in there before other first responders arrived and took over the rescue and had boats in the water at that time. Because of what they did, I put them in for recognition with the Indiana Sheriff's Association. We have a award ceremony that we do every year at a conference. Unfortunately, due to COVID this year, we weren't able to have an in-person conference, but they were able to go up to the Indiana Sheriff's Association office in Avon this year and receive their awards. Deputy Caleb Merriman is right now serving the United States in the military, so he was not able to go, but his wife and child were able to go up and accept the award on his behalf, along with Deputy Ryan Thompson and his wife. But the thing that they did, the sacrifice that they made, not looking at their health and safety, but going in after those people, I think says something about the Morgan County Sheriff's Office and those people that are serving the citizens of Indiana and the citizens of Morgan County every day. And I'd just like to let you folks know what you got out there working for you and what they do, and we appreciate what you guys do for us, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheriff Myers. I appreciate the story, and I think we ought to be able to send something from the county, or have we? I mean, I know your department has, but, you know, they're a part of us. So let's see if we can send a little note to the families and congratulate them and commend them on their service. Thank you. Also, I guess in that same line, we just appointed 20 people that are volunteers. They don't get paid. They go and they make decisions that affect our lives. Volunteerism is something that is dear to my heart. And we're going to, as a board, kind of encourage that and have opportunities. Actually, we had a program a few years ago that we got started here at the county. It's called Morgan County General Morgan's Reserves. And I think you're going to see some things growing and opportunities if you have the time. And, you know, the people that really have those opportunities are people of my generation a lot that are retired. There's no need to, of course, COVID's kind of cut down some of the activity, but there's people that don't need to be sitting down on a sofa watching television. They can have an opportunity to be a part of us. So look for the reserves to emerge, and I think you'll find it and be a part of it. We'd love to have you. Any other business for the county? You're hearing none, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Yep.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for all attending, and be safe.